in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw. We've got unfinished business. Shaw's sister took something from me. A virus that could wipe out half the population, and I want it back.
What is up, guys? Kid Critic is back with another review, and this review is for the new entry into the Fast and the Furious franchise as spin-off. The first time this has ever happened in the Fast and the Furious franchise. This just marks an important time in cinema history. That is right, this is the review for Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, which is directed by David Leitch and stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham, and it's about when cybergenetically enhanced anarchist Brixton gains control of an insidious bio-threat that could alter humanity forever, and even bests a brilliant and fearless rogue MI6 agent played by Vanessa Kirby, and the two people that can take down this evil threat is none other than Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw. And with that said, Joker, start this review for us.
And here we go.
Alright, now I enjoyed the Fast and the Furious franchise. I thought the first three were just not good at all, especially the third one. Oh, and then it got a lot better with the fourth one, then Fast 5, which I still think is the best of the franchise, and then you had Fast and the Furious 6, which I enjoyed, and then Furious 7, which I also had a blast with, and then you have Fate of the Furious, which I'm like, it's okay. It's definitely the weaker ones of the ones that we've had lately, and now you have Hobbs and Shaw. And before going into this movie, I was pretty excited to see it because I've enjoyed all the trailers. I was just expecting a big, huge, dumb, fun action movie with a great duo between The Rock and Jason Statham, and them just going at each other with some big action. And oh yeah, Idris Elba is your villain. And coming out of the movie, I'm happy to say that I had a pretty good time with Hobbs and Shaw. Now, my first pro of this film is that Jason Statham and The Rock have a brilliant back and forth in this movie. The relationship is just great. Just how in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, how Leonardo DiCaprio's and Brad Pitt's relationship carried the movie. Same thing for Hobbs and Shaw. Their relationship was just so great, and you kind of saw a little bit of The Rock when he was in WWE come out, when he was just talking trash to Jason Statham in this film. He just did it beautifully, and it was just so entertaining to watch as them two on screen. And to be honest, I could watch them do that for hours. And you also have Vanessa Kirby, who is, I thought, a pretty good addition to this movie. I'm definitely excited to see what they do with her in future movies. She kicks all sorts of booty. I really enjoyed her character overall. Now, the action sequences. Now, how outrageous is the action in this movie? And I'm here to tell you that it's just as outrageous as you probably would have thought, which I was totally expecting. I don't expect going into this movie expecting some real hardcore hand-to-hand combat, just realistic, the most realistic thing you've ever seen. This movie's not that. It is dumb, fun action movie, and I absolutely just dug it. It didn't get to the point where it just got so dumb where it's like, oh my god, like this is hurting my brain. It definitely could have gone there, and you definitely saw like, you're getting there, but definitely didn't give me a headache, and I quite enjoyed the dumb fun action, especially the action sequence of Samoa, which is probably my favorite part of the movie, was when they're in Samoa. It is outrageous. It is an outrageous action sequence, but I had a blast with action in this movie. And my next pro for this film, and this one surprised me, and that is there are a bunch of amazing surprises in this movie from different people, and it is great. It is absolutely great, and I have no clue how they kept this under wraps. It is fantastic. When they go up on screen, it's just like, what? And it is hilarious. Like, it is so good that you just have to stay away from spoilers. Like, stay away from spoilers with Hobbs and Shaw. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but stay away from spoilers for this movie because the surprises are just great. Now, who is the surprise in this movie? That's for you to find out. And something else I'll say about Hobbs and Shaw is that while this is a part of the Fast and the Furious franchise, this film did feel the least Fast and the Furious out of the Fast and the Furious movies. Like, it definitely has moments where you're like, oh, this is in the Fast and the Furious franchise. That's a Fast and the Furious thing to do. with the cars and the girls and all of that. But this movie definitely feels the least Fast and the Furious, which I actually kind of like. It felt like its own singular, separate film, which I enjoyed a lot. Alright, now while I did have a good time with this movie, just like with every film, it definitely has problems. Now my first con with the movie, I mean this isn't a very huge con, however, in most Fast and the Furious movies they try their best on pulling off some emotional scenes, and for the most part it doesn't work. And in Hobbs and Shaw, that it has some emotional scenes, and while I thought 2 or so kind of, I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. But it's hard when you're in the Fast and the Furious franchise and you're pulling off an emotional scene, because it's hard to take it seriously when you're just in this big, dumb, fun action world. So this movie does have some emotional scenes I thought worked better, especially more than some of the scenes that we've seen in the previous Fast and the Furious movies, especially that scene with Vin Diesel and Fate of the Furious. But it is hard to really focus in on the seriousness of these Fast and the Furious movies, and yes, including Hobbs and Shaw. However, it does do the best on pulling off emotional scenes. Now my second con with this movie is that I feel like the runtime could have been shorter. It felt a little bit long in the tooth towards the end. I'm like, you probably could have cut this down. You probably could have ended it here, taken that part out, and then boom, we got a good solid runtime, and we don't have stuff that we just don't need it, because it felt a little bit long to me in my opinion. And my third con of this movie is that there's an action sequence. While I really enjoyed it, just how I enjoyed all the action in this movie, I don't feel like you needed it, and probably could have just taken it out of the movie. However, while it's still good, I don't really think you needed it, and it didn't really progress the story, because usually when action sequences are good, like they're fun to watch, you feel the stakes and it progresses the story, and I feel like while it was a blast to see, it didn't progress the story. And my third con of the movie is I feel like Isa Gonzalez was really underused and didn't get enough to do, because she's like in this movie for 5 seconds. Like you blink and she's gone. Like she's barely in the movie, to the point where I just felt like she was kind of underused in this movie. And I really like her as an actress. I thought she was really good in Baby Driver, and I just felt like she was underused in this movie. And my fourth con, however, I wouldn't say it's a con, I'd say it's more of a mixed feeling, is that, so Idris Elba, who's the villain, I think Idris Elba does a really good job, and obviously he's like this superhuman, he's Black Superman as he says in the movie, and I thought, I mean, it's the Fast and the Furious franchise, anything can happen. I mean, then Fast and the Furious 10, they're gonna go to space. So I didn't really mind the whole superhero thing since it's the Fast and the Furious franchise. However, while Idris Elba was really good, I feel like the villain that he played in this movie was just like any other villain, that at the end of the day, even though it's played really well by Idris Elba, and Idris Elba's a fantastic actor, at the end of the day, I feel like this villain is just going to be a forgettable villain. However, they did do a good job of making a villain that can go toe-to-toe with The Rock or even Jason Statham, because in most Fast and the Furious movies, The Rock is just beating up fools like nothing, except for Vin Diesel, because you know, Vin Diesel's like God apparently in these movies. And my final little nitpick of Hobbs and Shaw is that I felt there was an overuse of slow motion in this movie. Not like Transformers level, because that's like I don't know how a movie even gets to that level. But there was parts where I'm like, I don't really think you need this much slow motion. I'm like, yeah, sure, that would be cool there, that'd also be cool there, but you don't need to use it this much, especially during the final action sequence. And you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about once you guys see the movie. Unless you guys have a different opinion from me, of course, but I'm Kid Critic, come on. So at the end of the day, even though this movie does have its flaws, I really enjoy this movie. The chemistry between Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson are amazing. I really enjoy seeing their characters on screen. The action is outrageous and just a total blast. Vanessa Kirby is a great addition to the franchise, and there are some brilliant surprises in this movie. And yes, while there's some flaws with this movie, just as there is with any movie, I was just expecting dumb fun action with a great back and forth between The Rock and Jason Statham, and you know what? That is exactly what I got. So I am very happy with what I got from this movie. So with that said, I give Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw a 3.5 out of 5 Fernies total blast with this movie. Don't expect seeing some Citizen Kane out of these movies. I mean, if you're going into Hobbs and Shaw, I don't even know why you'd be thinking that, especially if you've seen the Fast and the Furious movies. But I had a blast with the reasons I've said with this movie. So with that said, tell me down in the comment section below, what did you think of Hobbs and Shaw? I liked it. Did you? I don't know. Tell me. But as always in every single Kid Critic video, look out for the next video or review. And peace.